Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, June 14th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. To some, it's a symbol the pandemic is nearing an end. To others, relief that tomorrow marks the day California's COVID-19 restrictions are being lifted. Our coverage begins with KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel with how many businesses plan to return to normal.
It's the day many local businesses have been waiting for as California's colored-coded tier system comes to a halt. Customers can say goodbye to capacity limits, social distancing requirements, and those who are fully vaccinated can do away with their face masks. While some businesses can't wait to get back to normalcy, others aren't in a rush. Carlos Reyes, the head chef at Pokey's Mexican Eatery, says they're taking a slower reopening approach.
It doesn't really change much for us. We're going to continue running our operations the same with dining outside and a little bit of the indoor as well.
He says vaccinated employees can feel free to ditch the face mask.
We like to let our employees kind of like, if you feel comfortable with the mask, that's cool. If you don't, then I believe you don't have to wear it if those are like the regulations.
Although some restaurants in the downtown area have already loosened up restrictions, many still have face mask requirements for customers, and some still require temperature checks.
They took my temperature check on my wrist.
Crizia Albuquerque says it's time to lift restrictions.
That means people can be on their own decisions on how to think of taking care of themselves and others.
Although she believes some restrictions were necessary, Albuquerque isn't fond of employers asking whether or not employees have been vaccinated.
Very scary question.
Some restrictions in California will remain in place. Those who aren't vaccinated are still required to wear a face mask, and masks will still be required on all public transit and at airports. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
And the issue of masks and vaccination is top of mind for those who wonder whether fully reopening is the right thing to do. 75% of eligible San Diegans 12 years and older have at least one shot. And now Governor Newsom is upping the ante with even more vaccination incentives. Here's KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer.
Tomorrow, June 15th, marks the end of the color tier system for COVID-19 in California. That means no more capacity limits or physical distancing, and relaxed mask guidance for those who are vaccinated. While the state continues to make its way towards President Biden's goal of fully vaccinating 70% of the population by July 4th, more incentives have been announced, including what the governor calls California Dream Vacations.
We are announcing today 6 Dream Vacation packages to continue the incentive program beyond tomorrow. We'll be doing a drawing on July 1st for these 6 Dream Vacation packages.
The vaccination incentives are in addition to $50 gift cards for all who get vaccinated and raffles for cash prizes from the state, which included 30 winners of $50,000 and even bigger prizes tomorrow on June 15th.
10 individuals will receive $1.5 million each. Those that have been vaccinated with at least 1 dose are eligible. You're still eligible if you get vaccinated today.
Andrea LaCroix is a professor of epidemiology at UC San Diego. She says the high level of vaccinations across the state, combined with natural immunity from COVID-19 infections, should allow California not to see any major rise in infections, hospitalizations, or deaths.
With this much immunity in our population, I'm not going to call it I'm not going to say that we've achieved herd immunity, but I know that the virus is having more difficulty circulating because we can see our infection rates have gone way, way down.
With the state finally reopening after more than a year, Other statewide incentives, such as free menu items from Chipotle and Taco Bell on June 15th and discounted NBA gear from the 15th through 20th, will be offered with proof of vaccination. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
The county's last remaining vaccination superstations are getting ready to close. Today, Sharp announced the final operating dates for its sites. The Grossmont Center location will close on June 18th, followed by the CSU San Marcos site June 23rd and the South Bay Superstation on June 27th. Any second dose appointments scheduled after those dates will be relocated or they will be rescheduled. Scripps told KPBS News the Del Mar Superstation it runs will close on June 30th. There are still plenty of other places to get a shot if you haven't yet, including pharmacies and community clinics. We have all the information on our website, kpbs.org. Click on the vaccines link on our homepage to find a location close to you. The National Weather Service has issued an excessive heat warning for the San Diego County deserts, valley, and mountain areas until the end of this week. With record-breaking temperatures anticipated, KPBS reporter Melissa May says San Diegans should take steps to stay safe.
Heat is the #1 weather-related killer in the United States.
Adam Roser is a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in San Diego and describes this rare, extensive heat warning.
This area of high pressure is really just going to be sitting over much of the Southwest for, almost a week. And so we're going to see temperatures during the afternoon hours very warm.
According to the CDC, more than 600 people in the United States are killed by extreme heat every year.
This system is really going to bring us a lot of hot temperatures during the day and at night as well. So it's going to be quite the event here, and we'll definitely be seeing, some record-breaking temperatures.
During this excessive heat warning, there are a few ways to keep yourself safe. If you do have to be outside, wear light color clothing and wear sunscreen. Drink lots of water and stay in the shade as much as possible. And don't forget about the safety of your favorite four-legged friends.
The heat is very dangerous for animals because they sometimes don't realize their own limits. And then we put them in situations that they can't control. For example, if you're taking your dog on a walk on a leash, your dog doesn't have a choice of where he or she wants to go.
Nina Thompson is the Director of Public Relations for the San Diego Humane Society and cautions pet owners when it comes to activities during hot weather. If you do want to take your pet outside, do it earlier in the morning or later in the evening when it is cooler outside.
Limit exercise, make sure they have shade, make sure they have a lot of water, extra water. It's just better for everybody to dial it back a bit when it's hot outside.
Some signs an animal is in distress include excessive panting, glazed eyes, their gums and tongue become extra red, vomiting, and a rapid pulse. Dogs can also get sunburned, so Thompson advises pet owners.
The best thing to do is to leave them at home. We want to bring our pets with us, but during the heat of the day, they're actually more comfortable resting at home where it's cool, where they have water, where they can stay out of the sun.
San Diego County advises people to check in on family and neighbors during this warning, and young children and pets should never be left unattended in vehicles under any circumstances. Melissa May, KPBS News.
CAL FIRE is warning people about the dangers of hiking in the heat. Cowles Mountain, Three Sisters, and Cedar Creek pose some of the greatest risks. Another concern is people underestimating the difficulty of trails and hiking unprepared. CAL FIRE says rescues happen multiple times a week, sometimes even more than once a day. Just yesterday, a woman was rescued after hurting her leg at Black's Beach.
The scenery, the beauty, the picture taking, social media, a whole bunch of driving forces that make people end up going down a trail that they're inexperienced or unaware how hard it may become for them.
CAL FIRE says having to perform these rescues takes up resources that may be needed elsewhere. They also recommend you avoid hiking on hot days unless it's early in the morning. We will have your full hot weather forecast in just a few minutes. The San Diego City Council today approved a $4.6 billion budget for the coming fiscal year. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says funding for police, parks, and the arts dominated the debate.
For months, progressive activists have been pushing for cuts to the San Diego Police Department budget and for increased funding to social programs. Many repeated those calls Monday, while others called in to oppose cuts to police funding. Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp tried unsuccessfully to cut police overtime funding and reallocate it for new streetlights, homeless outreach, and other priorities that she says also support public safety.
This is what the reallocation is about. It is about finally prioritizing the communities that have been left behind. And because they have been left behind, yes, they have higher crime.
Ultimately, the council approved a $19 million increase to the police budget, mostly due to rising salary and benefit costs. And there were a few last-minute changes to the budget, among them an additional $2 million for arts and culture organizations and $350,000 for a new Office of Child and Youth Success.
We can and we must invest more of our city's resources with the success of children and youth in mind. And by establishing this office, we are going to leverage our assets to make our city a great place to grow up and raise a family.
The city budget was stabilized thanks to roughly $150 million in federal aid from President Biden's American Rescue Plan. That money is offsetting massive drops in revenue from the local tourism economy, which is still recovering from the pandemic. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
President Joe Biden arrived at his first NATO summit as the U.S. commander-in-chief with a message for allies. Quote, "I want NATO to know America is there." And as Karen Kafer reports, the president will be taking on big issues like security, pandemic recovery, and vaccine distribution.
President Biden Monday taking his message that America is back to the European continent and the NATO summit in Brussels.
I just want all of Europe to know that the United States is there.
The message welcomed by the alliance after years of talk by Biden's predecessor Donald Trump to pull U.S. support.
All leaders agreed that in an age of global competition, Europe and North America must stand strong together in NATO to defend our values and our interests.
In a joint communique summarizing discussions, NATO leaders specifically cited the dangers of more frequent, more complex cyber attacks, rising challenges posed by China, and a Russian threat to Euro-Atlantic security. President Biden will sit down with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva on Wednesday.
We should decide where it's in our mutual interest and the interest of the world to cooperate and see if we can do that. And the areas where we don't agree, make it clear what the red lines are.
On Monday, Biden met one-on-one with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The relationship between the U.S. and Turkey has been rocky, with Russia and China at the center of tensions. But Turkey will play a critical role in Afghanistan after U.S. troops depart later this year. NATO leaders largely backed Biden's decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan by September, according to a senior administration official present for summit talks on the topic. In Washington, Karen Kafer, KPBS News.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has ended a Trump-era office that was criticized for skewing opinions about immigrants. The Victim of Immigration Crime Engagement Office, or VOICE, launched in April of 2017. The Homeland Security Secretary says everyone should have access to victim services without concern of their immigration status. The new plan is called Victims Engagement and Services Line and will include help on visas for victims of crimes like human trafficking. Over the past several decades, hundreds or maybe thousands of U.S. military veterans have been deported for committing crimes after they left the service. Now, many are looking to the Biden administration, hoping for the chance to finally return to the United States. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh says some vets have waited for years. For others, their time has run out.
Jose Velasco came to the U.S. from Mexico as a child. As a green card holder, he was drafted during the Vietnam War era. Charged with assault with a deadly weapon and deported 3 years ago. At age 76, he's now living in Tijuana.
I never even knew Tijuana. Didn't have anybody here. So that's what happened, and I'm still here. I felt like, the sky was coming down on me. Bad.
Velasco is one of the former U.S. service members who are trying to get back to the country where they served and lived most of their lives. His health declining. He's waiting for back surgery for an injury that he says was most likely related to his service. He knows the clock is ticking.
We have 2 flags right here.
Hector Barajas runs the Deported Veteran Support House in Tijuana, a place nicknamed the Bunker.
Got a couple congressional visits.
Barajas was deported himself, but was able to become a citizen after he was pardoned by the governor of California. Like many people, he started the citizenship process while he was still in the Army during the first Gulf War, but didn't finish.
Never, immigration never came up, not even for my squad leaders, you know.
Military service can be a fast track to citizenship, especially during wartime. But some people were incorrectly told they automatically become U.S. citizens when they take the military oath. Others lose track of the process as they move around. Barajas says the system has been broken for years, but things became particularly difficult under the Trump administration.
It takes longer to become a citizen while you're in the military. Actually, it's better if you file for your citizenship when you're out of the military. It's faster.
Richard Avila has been in Tijuana for a decade after being deported because of a felony immigration charge. He came to the U.S. as a child and volunteered to join the Marines at the tail end of the Vietnam era. He speaks Spanish with a thick American accent that draws unwanted attention in Mexico.
The word is pocho. Like I said, it's kind of a derogatory term, meaning that you're raised in America. You're Mexican, raised in America. In other words, kind of like a traitor, right? Because you're not in Mexico. You're raised in the U.S.
Advocates are asking the Biden administration to reverse policies that make it harder for troops to apply for citizenship and reinstate a program that walks them through the process before they leave boot camp. Jenny Pascarella with the ACLU of Southern California also wants a moratorium on deporting veterans, and for those already deported,
to create a pathway so that they can return home. And that's where I think that the administration could adopt a policy or a process that would allow for revisiting of those cases.
For some, any change has already come too late. Norma Apalaco remembers telling her mother that time had run out for her brother, a former Marine.
So I said, don't let it hit you right now. You're the same like me right now. Let's get in the car and let's go.
Erasmo Apalaca died of a heart attack in Mexico while waiting to return to the U.S. for a second immigration hearing. He fought his deportation for more than a decade, only to die less than 2 months before his case would be heard.
Because we never imagined that my brother would have ended up deported as a veteran to Mexico without being able to return where we were all at. My parents, my brothers, were all here in the United States.
All of the veterans caught in this cycle have felonies on their record. Still, Norma says they serve their country.
These people made mistakes. They paid a price. They need to be given an opportunity to do best. Not by getting rid of them, by sending them, here, you're somebody else's problem. No.
But for now, very little has changed. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
We are learning more about that mystery boom that was felt last Tuesday night. MCAS Miramar now says that loud boom and shaking may have been caused by military aircraft training off of the coast. They did not get specific, but report 2 aircraft were 30 miles southwest of San Diego, and speed and atmospheric conditions may have been the result. High heat, winds, and rocky terrain are challenging firefighters battling a brush fire in Riverside County. 2 homes have been destroyed and 3 others damaged since it started yesterday morning in Pinyon Crest. Evacuations were ordered as the flames burned 400 acres. U.S. Forest Service firefighters say at least 1 firefighter has been injured. The fire comes as much of California is bracing for a heat wave. Jessica Pash has your forecast.
Get ready for some record-breaking heat in some spots over the next couple of days in the Southwest. Much of California out into Arizona, Nevada are going to be feeling some serious heat. We have excessive heat warnings that have been posted, as well as some slightly cooler temperatures near the coast. Now everyone's going to be warming up, but it's definitely going to feel much nicer for some of our coastal cities. I mentioned those excessive heat warnings. Here they are. Everything that you're seeing in that red color is an excessive heat warning that remains in effect through Saturday evening. So all week long, we're going to be talking about the extreme heat. For tonight, temperatures dropping off into the mid 60s in the metro. A few patchy clouds out there, but nothing major. Upper 50s out towards Oceanside, 60 degrees tonight in Escondido, Borrego Springs. You're not even falling out of the low 80s for those overnight lows. The marine layer sort of builds in through the overnight period, but it's nothing impressive. Near the coast, it'll likely bring a little bit of cloud cover, but overall, it's likely going to stay mainly clear for some of the interior sections. Looking ahead to your Tuesday, it still remains very, very hot here across much of California. Northern California could get in on a little bit of some nicer conditions, but the overall story is the heat here over the next couple of days, and that's not going to change. Temperatures getting up. Inland regions, triple digits for you from Ramona down to El Cajon. Temperatures out towards Borrego Springs are going to be around 119 degrees for daytime highs. Record highs still possible for some of you even as we head into your Wednesday. So near the coast, temperatures generally in the upper 70s and low 80s, which is cooler than some other regions like further inland where we're going to be up into the 90s and upper 90s possible out there for your Tuesday. In the mountains, temperatures go from the upper 80s down into the mid to low 80s by the end of the work week. And in the desert, boy, triple digit heat close to 120 degrees for your Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
The nationwide worker shortage is apparently giving teenagers more opportunities to find their perfect summer job. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment among teenagers 16 to 19 years stood at 9.6% in May. That is a level not seen since the early 1950s. In May of 2020, it was just shy of 30%, and that's according to federal jobs data. If you're fully vaccinated, you can take your mask off at Disneyland and California Adventure. The updated mask policy starts tomorrow when the state's reopening tier system is lifted. Guests 2 years old and up who are not vaccinated will be asked to keep wearing masks indoors at the parks, except when dining. Everyone who will still have to wear a mask they'll still have to use a mask while riding the bus, transportation from parking lots to the parks. You'll not have to show proof of vaccination, just self-attest that you have been vaccinated. Major League Baseball teams are offering free tickets to encourage fans to get vaccinated. The San Diego Padres and LA Dodgers are among those participating. Candace Crone was at the Dodgers event.
Okay, we'll do it. Longtime Dodger fan Larry Martinez.
And we apologize for that. As we mentioned, the Padres are hosting their own vaccine clinics. A second is scheduled for Saturday, June 26th. That's from 1:30 in the afternoon to 8 o'clock at night. Each person vaccinated gets a pair of tickets to a future Padres game, and they get a hero t-shirt as well.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, Biden abroad. The president works to rebuild alliances at the critical NATO summit. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And now here's another look at today's top stories. Tomorrow is the day California's color-coded tier system will be thrown out. It means businesses are not required to enforce COVID-related capacity limits or social distancing. Also, people who are fully vaccinated do not have to wear a face mask in most public settings. Those who are not vaccinated are still required to wear a face mask, though, and everyone will have to wear one on all public transit and at airports as well. Governor Newsom unveiled a new incentive program as part of the push to get Californians vaccinated. 6 vaccinated Californians are going to win a dream vacation and $2,000 for travel expenses, and that's going to be in a drawing that's going to be held on July the 1st. The governor is also proposing $95 million to boost the state's tourism economy. And an excessive heat warning has been issued for parts of San Diego County, and that's through the end of this week. With record-breaking temperatures are expected, it's important to limit the time spent outdoors, to wear sunscreen, to drink plenty of water, and please do not forget about the safety of your pets. And as always, you can find tonight's stories on our website at kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.